Welcome to Commanders Daily, everybody. It's your one-stop shop for everything going on with the Burgundy and Gold. I'm Bob Matthews. Hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss a day of our coverage. Thursday is in the books. Commanders out on the practice field one more time today before heading down to Dallas. Not going to be a very long practice, I wouldn't think. And I think the Commanders are going to be without quite a few players this week. And if you haven't heard, the news just is not that good out of Ashburn. So let's run down the injury list here. The headline, of course, is Terry McLaurin, who has not practiced yet this week. Given that, I think it might be a pretty much of a long shot that he plays this week. And I think now we pretty much have to kind of say, you know what, we can't really trust anything that comes out of any of Dan Quinn's news conferences, unfortunately, when it comes to Terry's injury. Clearly, they haven't been shooting straight with us. He's obviously hurt worse than they have been letting on. I don't know how. It didn't seem like he landed that awkwardly on his leg when he injured his quad on that reception. But still, you know, why they're not leveling with us, I don't know. Maybe they're just detached from reality and trying to fool themselves. But it is obvious that Terry is hurt. He is going to be hurt for a while, unfortunately. When he gets back, really nobody knows. Until we actually hear Dan Quinn say Terry's healthy, he practiced fully, and he is good to go for this week, he will start, that's when we'll know that he's good. Other than that, I would not take anything at face value that the organization says about his health. The only thing you can really trust is that official injury report from the league. And again, Terry is now not practiced both Thursday and Friday. Well, I take it back. He was limited on Wednesday, didn't practice on Thursday. And that's not the only guy out there. Deebo Samuel has not practiced all week. I would be very surprised to see him play on Saturday. He is dealing with a heel. Chris Rodriguez hasn't practiced, dealing with a calf. Zach Ertz with a shoulder was a full go on Thursday, so I guess that's good. Jonathan Jones, who was working his way back, was a full go both days. The really good piece of news, if you want to call it that, is that Sam Cosmi has practiced fully both Wednesday and Thursday. We'll have to see what it's like today. But Cosmi may be back in there this week. And Cliff Kingsbury, who we're going to get to in a couple of minutes, talked about him as well. But again, when it comes to injuries, from now on, it's like the late, great Rich Tandler once said, watch what they do, not what they say. I would not put 1 ounce of credibility in anything that comes out of any of the press conferences other than if Dan Quinn says, Terry practiced in full today, he is good to go, and he will be playing on Sunday. Shame that it's like that, but that's life in the NFL, and it happens that way. Speaking, as we said, the aforementioned Kingsbury and Joe Witt, both of them talked yesterday, as they always do on a Thursday. Some of the things that Joe Witt talked about, having George Pickens in the lineup for the Cowboys, called him one of the best deep ball receivers in the league, and I think we can all probably agree with him on that. Also said it's going to be a challenge having to contain both him and CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb will be playing this week. So that's one that's got to concern you as well. The thing that you have to take solstice in, if you're a Commanders fan, is that there is still at least a 50-50 chance that they can win. And why? Well, because they got Jaden Daniels. They got a top 5 quarterback. And a top 5 quarterback, talent-wise, means you have the chance to go out there and overcome injuries to your top 3 receivers. Oh, did I mention Noah Brown is on injured reserve? We know that from yesterday. So, but again, as long as number 5 is okay, you're going to have at least a puncher's chance in the game. Let's see. Cliff Kingsbury talking about having Sam Cosmi back at practice and said that he's at least a little optimistic on Cosmi, saying that he hopes that he can be back, says he has looked good in practice. Let me get the quote for you on Cosmi here from him. Says, still working through it. He's big, physical, looks big, strong, fast. We'll see how he kind of progresses throughout the week, but I think he's made strides, so I'm not sure if it'll be this week, but I like what I have seen. Sounds like talk of somebody hedging their bets a little, but maybe banking on having his starting right guard back. And, if that happens, he also is very complimentary about Chris Paul. I got to wonder if Chris Paul won't keep the left guard spot. Slide him over to the left and take take Andrew Wiley's place there. Once Cosme's back, I think that might be the way to go because Chris Paul, I think, was the best lineman out of the group last week. Again, we'll find out. It's going to be a challenge, though, I can tell you that. Finally, let's go ahead and hit the mailbag. Our question of the day. Drop us a comment if you want. What do you think the keys are for going down and pulling a surprise in Dallas next week or on Sunday? Let's see. Shout out to XR Profits. Terry jogged down the field to get the TD ball for Luke a month ago, and now a month later they are hoping he can do jogging at practice. I'm not buying any of this crap. He's still butthurt about the contract and sticking it to us. Should have traded him during that holdout ransom saga. I understand your frustrations, XR. I don't think I'm going to go that far as saying that Terry's doing it intentionally. I don't think he is. I think that he's hurt, and they're not telling us how much he's hurt. And that's why, you really need to level with everybody when something like this happens. I understand not putting him on injured reserve because, hey, who are you really going to get to fill the spot? Does it do you any good? No, it doesn't. And if there's a chance that he can be, ready to go quicker than if you put him on IR, I get that. So, I don't mind him still being on the active roster, but I'm just not at this point. I'll believe it when I see it as far as him playing. But thank you, XR. I appreciate it, and thank everybody for all the comments up there. You guys absolutely are killing it. It's going to do it for us. Enjoy the game on Sunday. Hey, like I said, with JD5, anything is possible. We'll talk about it all on Monday. Remember, like the wise man once said, if you're on your bike tonight, as always, do wear white.